Morning, friends and family. John Miller here, Lake Stevens Realtor, coming at you here on a Monday, November 2nd, 2020. Happy Halloween. Hope everyone moved their clocks back and isn't running an hour early. That would just be crazy in 2020. I don't know why one extra hour in 2020. It's just kind of crazy that way. Okay, so today's question comes out of Sultan, Washington, of all places. A few deals in Sultan. It's a nice little town. The question is, should I buy a fixer, or what is a fixer? Or, what are the challenges of buying a fixer apart from the obvious? And that's a really good question. Fixers come out fairly frequently in my searches, and I get a lot of calls on them, primarily because of the price. And that makes sense. Obviously, if you got a fixer for whatever reason, whether it's cosmetic or there's material work, it's going to be priced accordingly. And like, wow, that looks like a great price, and I'm not scared of rolling up my sleeves and doing some work. And on the face of it, that would sound like a great idea. However, there's a lot of problems with that, and we're going to go over that here shortly. As I just mentioned, there's real differences between when we look at what's called a fixer. When we look at a cosmetic fixer, and that's just paint, carpet, things that wouldn't require a permit, maybe some functional obsolescence, maybe some upgrades. Those are things that we look at when we look at a cosmetic fixer, and most people, that's what they want. The reality is most of the stuff that's on the market that's a real fixer is a material fixer, where there's a real problem with the property. Almost primarily, it seems probably half the time it's got a bad roof. There may be other issues: foundation, plumbing, electrical, structural. There could be any variety or any combination of those things. And those are all things that are probably going to require a permit. And there's a lot of folks out there, well, gosh, I can do a roof. My brother-in-law and I used to do it, or whatever it is. The thing that really holds up most people is financing. And what it comes down to is if there's visible damage, or the lender or the appraiser actually, if they have information that there are material defects to that home, they're probably not going to loan on it prior to closing. They're going to want to see that repair affected. Now, when I say probably, there are some caveats. Not many times, but there are times, depending on the size of the repair, it is possible to what's called an escrow holdback, where there's an amount of money held at escrow that's paid out after closing to a contractor to fix the roof or whatever it is. A lot of loan programs will not do that, and the larger that repair, the chances of a lender or bank going along with that idea are usually pretty slim. I don't recommend counting on it because it's usually a shot in the dark. So when it comes down to it, when you're looking to, one of the things that changed here in Washington State, and you guys have probably seen a lot of the shows on HGTV about property flipping and buying up house and flipping them or what have you. What happened here in Washington State here about over 5 years ago now, almost closer to 10, the state came in and said, you want to do property flipping, fine, but you have to have a general contractor sign off on the loan with you. So you've got to have one in tow when you want to start doing the work. And a lot of people say, well, wait a minute, that defeats the purpose. A general contractor, they're going to take all the money. That I want to do the work. I mean, if there's whether it's a rehab loan component, we'll get into that in a second, or what have you, I want to do the work. Well, what had happened back in the day is there were a lot of people doing property flipping, and a lot of them were doing it very well. I thought it was a really good aspect of the industry that they would take properties that were distressed, bring them up to a saleable condition, and then flip them. I think it was a good idea, and they made a lot of profit on it. I don't begrudge anyone making profit on doing that. I think it was a good service, in my opinion. The challenge was there were a lot of people that got into that. Who said, hey, it looks like a great way to make money. Who got into it, started to do repairs, either ran out of money or maybe got in over their head, were doing the repairs poorly, would end up damaging the property, would end up doing more, creating more problems for the property, and there was usually a pretty good chance the loan would go into default, and or they would end up selling it to a party, and then after closing, the next buyer finds out there's all these problems with the home because the work wasn't done correctly, and that was a real problem. So the state came in and said, okay, you've got to have a contractor with you now, and obviously that put a lot of people out of that idea of property flipping. But there's still a lot of people in there that either went and got a contractor's license or have a contractor in tow. The ones that I see that do the best usually either are an agent or have an agent in tow, and we're giving them a real sweetheart deal, have a lender that's giving them a sweetheart deal, and have a contractor, a team that can give a quick estimate on the work that needs to be done and put up a budget very quickly and figure out, how much profit am I going to make based on this purchase. If you're buying for yourself, I don't recommend it unless you really know what you're doing and you have a real good control on your finances. I mentioned rehab loans earlier. There are rehab loans out there. I would say very few of my clients actually who ask about rehab loans end up getting a rehab loan. There's a lot. I'm not going to answer for lenders, but there's a lot more to it than just, let's get a rehab loan and do the work. That's not how it works. It usually requires a lot more cash, a lot more down payment, a lot more rigmarole, and probably I would say over 90% of my clients who ask about rehab loans never end up getting a rehab loan. If you're looking to flip, same deal. You better know what you're doing. You better have your finances in order. Usually a good cash position. If you don't have either one of those, I generally don't recommend it. It's not gonna be happy. So very rarely. I've had a few clients who've gone in, rolled up their sleeves. There's usually a level of risk involved. I've had people do it and bring the home up to, they live there very comfortably and they were very happy with that. It was a kind of a shot in the dark. We were kind of playing fast and loose with the closing and a few other things, but it was all above board, of course. It was just very risky. Anyway, if you have any questions regarding property flipping or fixers or rehab loans or anything like that, obviously reach out to me. Don't just go and buy one. Oh yeah, I bought a fixer. Yeah, that's great. Anyway, interest rates 2.81% on a 30-year fixed. We are by this time. Let's see. By my next video, we will have a new president, or obviously our presidential election is tomorrow. A lot of investors looking at that date as to what's going to happen with the economy, what the Feds will be doing here over the next year or two. So everyone kind of holds this. It's very typical. Everyone holds their breath before the presidential election. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, wherever you are, stay safe and healthy. We love you, and we'll see you next week. Bye.